Hey guys, welcome to Mobility Live today. We are indoors. I'm still trying to work out kinks. I am trying to do this in so many different ways. I'm probably gonna have to actually maybe ask for help. But anyway, so we will get going. We are going to do a just a live format of mobility, just like we normally would. And this will also be then uploaded again. Hey, Jenny, uploaded again to YouTube, so you can see it there as well. So you can always watch it in a replay. So let's get going. Really, the key first thing to do with your mobility is to start with some movement that you can reproduce. So allowing yourself to not just come into this practice, but allow yourself to actually find something that you can replace and reproduce so that you can use it as an assessment. So like take your arms up and over your head, and you can see how my arms stretch over my head. But I'm feeling like I've got some tension in my forearm a little bit. My left arm feels a little tight on my left side. So it's not just that my arms are overhead, it's how do they feel. Also, I want to know for myself, is my rib cage really lifting high? Or am I standing really tall? Do I feel any pinch in my lower back? So that's a real simple assessment. Another one would just be simply touching your toes and just noticing what that feels like. Can you do it is the first assessment. And then how does it feel when you're doing it? So allow yourself to just kind of do a movement. It could be standing on one foot and notice how your ankle comes into play, or it could be a hinge. It could be a squat. So when I do a squat, so I'll do a squat here, and then can my butt get low? Can my shoulders stay high? Can I reach my arms overhead, maybe even and stand back up? So choose for another moment or so a mobility assessment that you can then reproduce and allow yourself to do again later on. And then we'll get going. So find something to do. So do an assessment of your overhead extension, your hinge, your squat. Maybe it's a standing balance posture, and allow yourself to come into the practice. So we're going to start with our hands on our belly, because standing up is a nice way to go. Also gives people the opportunity to just kind of feel their space where they are, because so often if we're not always available to go on the ground to reset ourselves. So all of these things are the pillars of our movement. They aren't just stuff to do because we have nothing else to do. But breathing is the number one pillar to reset the nervous system, to reset the movement of the body, and allow the body to be more able to take on stresses, just take on physical stress, emotional stress, spiritual stress, and so on. And so our body is designed to breathe. It was given breath, it expels breath, and allow that breath to really become part of your movement patterning to begin with. So palms on your belly, and just inhale and exhale. I want you to take that tongue to the roof of your mouth and feel your belly expanding, not just front ways, but sideways also. You could take your hand behind your back, and you could breathe. If you want to close your eyes and make it a little bit of a meditation, you're welcome to as well. Your hands can be at your rib cage. Just think of how your body kind of just releases pressure. Notice if your breath feels like it comes into your chest. Notice if it feels like it's being pulled by some other force, like maybe you're tight in the underarms, or maybe you're tight in the hips, and you can even feel that as you breathe. A couple more nice long deep breaths. Let the neck release. And then let's recheck our baseline movement again. Take those arms over your head. I feel like my length is a little bit farther back. I'm going to also check my squat. My legs are a little bit wider out. My squat was pretty good before, and my upper upper body was pretty tall. That feels pretty nice again. And then my hinge, just kind of feeling those hamstrings or my toe touch and letting my head drop down towards my knees. And then rolling myself up. So I'm going to use those as assessments throughout. I'll use my upper body, or you can use one assessment, or you can trade it off to another assessment if you want. So then that way you can get, just kind of see where your movement is and how it's progressing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to just start with some head nods. You can stay standing if you want, or you can sit back in any kind of position that you want. And we're just going to drop the chin to the sternum and lift the chin up. So this can be done laying down. This can be done seated. So bodies can be tall and lengthened. So this nodding of the head, so your neck controls the movement of a lot of your body. Because where your head goes, your body will follow. And if there's stiffness or tightness in the neck, you're probably going to have that someplace else down that movement chain, as well as with the eyes. So we're allowing the eyes to lead the movement here. It's not just that our head is bobbing up and down, it's that our eyes are lifting and our head is following that, and you're still breathing. If you notice something getting tighter or more stuck, check in with your breath and see if you're actually holding your breath or if you're allowing yourself to actually breathe. And remember, we're breathing through the rib wall. We're not just breathing into the belly. You're breathing deep into the diaphragm. You're pulling the diaphragm down. Now I want you to take the chin to the right shoulder and back up, and to the left shoulder and back up, to the right shoulder and to the left shoulder. So it's a little bit of a half turn and a nod at the same time. And then you're going to turn and look over your right shoulder, look up towards the ceiling and to your left shoulder. And again, if you're laying on your back when you're doing this, your head is just turning side to side. So you're just allowing your head to roll side to side. If you're laying on your stomach while doing this, you again would just be looking over your shoulder, around the back side of your body. And of course, if you were standing, you would just be turning as well. The nice part about on your stomach, if you're on your stomach, is really all this contact to the ground. Plus, you get that nice extension in the upper back. Now realize I am talking while we're doing this, and ideally you would have your mouth closed and your tongue against the roof of your mouth. So you wouldn't be kind of talking, you wouldn't be disconnecting away from your body, you would be connecting into your body. A couple more times. Just let that head turn. Lift that chin, lift that chest, and turn. And then lift that chin, lift that chest, and turn. Good. Come back to center. And we're going to do then some cross-patterning motion. So we're going to just come up and we're going to stand back up and we're going to do what's called a cross crawl. So if you are already standing, great. And you can, right now, you can recheck your baseline. See if your arms move a little bit easier. My elbows seem to feel like they're extending nicer. I can reach down and touch my toes. My hamstrings have actually loosened up a bit. My hamstrings have loosened up a bit. I'm getting deeper on the ground and realize I haven't done any hamstring stretches to get down there. When the body is ready and the body's not living in kind of tension or fear, the body will release and be ready to move. And then the other one I did was just, again, my squat. Now you may not be able to get this deep in a squat. This is a pretty deep squat, but it's doable for the body, and the body was designed to move in all different directions, all different planes of motion, and so allowing your body to go there. So we're going to start with just what's called a cross crawl, and a cross crawl looks like kind of like an 80s exercise, but what the idea of it is that this is movement just like you would be walking. So when you walk right arm, left leg. And when you cross crawl, you just lift up that leg to get a little taller. And ideally, you're maintaining a height through the crown of your head. You're breathing through your rib wall with your tongue against the roof of your mouth. And you're just letting your arms kind of swing naturally, right hand to left knee. And when we touch our skin or our body, our brain is more even connected. So when we have to touch the right hand to the left shoulder, that makes our brain have to think a little bit differently. It challenges our nervous system a little bit. And it allows us to change maybe even our balance. So you can touch the back of your head. That really throws things off a little bit. Or touch your foot even. Now your lower back might be getting a little tired from the hip flexor motion here. So you can always do less. So again, you don't have to pick up the knee as high. Do what you can. So you're always starting where you are. The idea so often in exercise is do what I'm doing. Not what I'm saying, but do what I'm doing. And then what we end up doing is more than our body is really ready for. And so the sequencing of our movement gets thrown off. And then if you need to go back to or want to go back to something a little more what might seem to you as challenging, or it might seem to you as just different. So I'm touching my back side and my front side at the same time, really connecting into my nervous system, really getting my body patterning to get going. And it doesn't take a lot of energy. I'm not really exhausted, I'm not tired, but my body's moving in all kinds of directions. Good. Go ahead and pause and recheck your baseline again. Nice. And again, my forward fold. Hands are now to the ground. Head is down. Legs are pretty straight. Tension is coming out of the back of my legs. Rolling up. And then again, my squat. And again, you don't have to check all of your baseline movements or any number one of them. You can do just kind of one baseline. If you just want to check an overhead extension, that's fine. Just do that. And then my squat again. My squat feels, I know it's a pretty deep squat. My arms feel nice and extended over my head and pretty easy to come back up, which is a great thing that I can get through full range of motion in my hips, glutes, my lats, my shoulders. It's really a nice way to know where your body is. Even if you're going to only squat to here and that feels like it's a lot, that's fine. You can work towards more, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to get onto the ground, because squatting is a really great movement because it's on the ground. We all have it designed in us. I mean, you see any 3-year-old, and 3-year-olds do squatting all the time. So this is just called knees rocking, or rocking knees. And it's just simply moving back and forth in a squatting pattern. So you can see I'm at the end point of a squat here. Yes, it looks like a child's pose or something you'd see in yoga. But really it's just, think about a baby, how a baby moves. It's just a rocking pattern. And a rocking pattern is a precursor to a walking pattern. My arms get to move, my shoulders get to move, my wrists, my fingers are grabbing the ground. I can even tap my fingers, pull them in, stretch them out, pull them in, stretch them out. So I'm not just rocking, I'm kind of moving different parts of my body. I'm moving so you can see different sides. You don't have to move back and forth. And now I'm going to curl my toes. So my toes are going to get into the action of it. For most people, because they wear shoes most of the day, currently you may not be wearing shoes as much, which is really great. But your feet are jammed into shoes, squeezed or pressed. And then all those ligaments and muscles get very weak. And then when we try to go barefoot, it actually hurts. And people say, oh, I'm such a tenderfoot. And in reality, you just don't move your feet enough to strengthen them. A couple more times, back and forth. Now we're going to drop one foot. So I'm going to drop the top of my foot. The other foot is curled under, and I'm going to sit back towards that foot. And you're going to do about 4 or 5 of these, and then you'll switch, and then you'll kind of curl the other toe under and come forward. Good. And then you're gonna have your toes push one foot into the other. I'll turn so you can see kind of from behind. So you're going to push one foot into the other. So as you rock back, your foot pushes the other foot into a position. So again, it's just kind of side pressing, and you're pushing that ankle slightly down. So you're getting some motion in that foot. And then we'll do the other foot. Just kind of press your big toe into the inside part of that foot. So your left foot is pushing into your right arch. Good. And then let's go back to nice big knees rocking back and forth. And if you look at it, it really does kind of look like what a baby does when they're getting ready to crawl. And for the most part, babies don't spend a lot of time in the rocking motion, in the rocking pattern. They're getting up, they're ready to go. And of course, we're encouraging them too. Good, go ahead and pause. Good, let's come back up. And let's recheck our baseline. Hopefully those shoulders are now even maybe more immobilized and feel like they have more juice in them. You can circle them around and see how that feels. And then you can reach down. If yours was touch your toes, reach down and touch your toes. Those would be kind of indirect, really cool changes. But a direct change, of course, would be that squat. Is my squat maintaining its mobility and or getting better? And better isn't always in depth, because as soon as you get your butt to the ground, in a sense, that's about as low as you're going to be able to go. And then you want to see if you can maybe go, it's not how low can you go from there, it's maybe how long can you stay in that spot, or can you move from that spot? Can you shift side to side in that spot? So let's come back up again. And we're going to go back to that cross crawl. That's a nice, good reset of all movements. Keep your body nice and long. Watch that you're not falling. If you want to, I mean, of course, you can always grab something, a load of some sort. So this is a 10-pound sand bell, and I'm just putting it on my shoulder. And I'm thinking of pushing up into it. I want that sand bell not to fall off my shoulder. So I want to go slow enough so I can just barely hold that sand bell up there, but still maintain my walking. Now, of course, you probably don't have a sand bell ready to go. That's okay. You can do something else if you want. You can get even a pillow. And then I'm going to take it to the other side. And again, this whole right side to left hip, I'm having to do a lot of work to stabilize. I can notice my right side also, my right direct hip underneath my right shoulder on my side. And I'm noticing that there's a little bit of instability in that right side just by moving. And then I'm going to just drop the sand bell and just go back to a cross crawl. And again, mouth is closed as best as you can. Tongue against the roof of the mouth really will challenge your cardiovascular system as well as your nervous system. Because your body's going to be like, take a breath. And you're like, nope, you can do this. Just calm down. Arms up and over my head. Just check and see how that went. Go into my squat. I'm going to go into it with my arms up this time and see if I can maintain that high extension. Nice, right? Good. And then we'll come back up. Good. And then we're going to hands on our knees. So we're going to kind of do a knees rocking from our standing position. So again, if getting on the ground, and for a lot of people getting on the ground is challenging. It's challenging because they have, right now, their ankles, their knees, their hips, their lower back maybe is difficult. And so just think of that movement, that hinging motion, down and back up, down and back up. I'm sliding my hands down the front of my knees to give some contact, kind of moving the shoulder. And then I'm going to come up on my toes as I stand up. See if I can balance without my feet pitching in or one foot dropping down before the other. Work on coming all the way back up again. So don't just come down before you fully stood up. Notice if your glutes show up. A lot of work for those feet, yep. Couple more. You can hear my ankle cracking maybe. And last one, up and back down. Good. So again, let's go back to a cross crawl. That seemed to work well for us. And again, you can take that cross crawl. See if you could even change the position of your hands. Take those arms up, reassess yourself. Take your arms back down, squat in if that's your movement. Arms are up, come back up. Feels nice on my lower back and my hips, and then hands to the ground. If forward fold is your movement. Remember, some of you might have had a standing balance. And notice if that just feels a little more smooth. Like it doesn't take so much work to get into it. And if it's still taking a little bit of time or a little bit of work, it's not that that movement isn't helping. It's just that that movement for your body, see the leg balance? You may need to do more, spend more time noticing, spend more time making more movement patterns connect to really be able to connect into that. So because your balance has a lot to do with your big toe, your pinky toe, the arches in your foot. It has to do with how you're sleeping, your stress, your hip alignment, your core. So in balance, there's so much more involved than just taking your arms up and over your head. So don't get too limited by your own thoughts and don't get blinded by your own blind spots. All right, so let's come back to the ground. And we're going to get back into, I'll have a forward motion. So we'll kind of do, in a sense, a knees rocking from this forward position. So my toes are going to be up. My knees are slightly bent. My hands are going to be behind me, and they can be in any position. So you can see on my hand, I can have it all the way turned towards my butt, or I can even have it turned the other direction. It's pretty difficult to turn them all the way in, but maybe if you have that much rotation in your shoulders, you can do that. So we'll just start out somewhere kind of, you know, slightly east and slightly west in those wrists. And so you're going to extend your legs and then come forward. So we're doing a knees rocking. And as you rock back, you're going to point your toes more. As you come forward, you'll draw your toes towards your shins. Again, a great option for just noticing in a different position what's going on, maybe in your elbows more and in your shoulders as you drop your weight into your elbows. Can you maintain that flexion and extension in those ankles? Now, can you put one foot down and then the other? It may just be a syncopated problem. So as I drop back, my left foot is down. As I drop back, then my right foot goes down. Go slow enough so that you can control the motion. If you go too fast, your brain will say, no, thank you. So this could be no movement at all of the upper body. This could be seriously just a movement out, one leg at a time. And I know you guys are all super advanced, so all this just seems like, why would I do that? Because you can, and you should do simple, because simple actually helps us see where complicated may be able to fit in for our own body. So let's go ahead and come back up, and then just drop those knees to the right and to the left. This is a great motion, different than forward rocking, of course, but just kind of rolling into the hip joint. Notice how far my feet are apart from each other and allowing myself to just shift side to side. So I'm kind of lifting up one butt cheek, lifting up the other. So my hip rolls inside the joint. And again, this stuff isn't necessarily difficult, and that's usually the more difficult part for people, is that it's not difficult to, in a sense, do. It's difficult in its simplicity because you need to stay within it. So yes, of course, doing basic math, basic spelling, cat, dog, right now is no longer difficult for you anymore. But sometimes it's important to just do movements and do math and do thought patterning. That's just simple. One time I had a friend, he was in the hospital, and instead of coming in and reading a complicated, chapter book, I literally just brought him a book, a child's book, and we just read children's books together, because his thought process was, it needed to be more simple. It needed to not be so complicated. So we're going to take your knees to your side, go all the way over, and then come back into all fours. Then take your knees to your side, and then come back up. Then take your knees to your side, come all the way forward and into an all fours. Then go to the other side. So we're going kind of in a circle, and feet are front. Take your knees to your right, come all the way forward, and then sit over to your left, and then bring your feet out in front. And then drop your knees to your left, come all the way forward, drop your hips to your right, and come back around. Now you can do this kind of with your hands more, or you can do this less. You don't have to use your hands more. So try to move. Here's where it all has to come together. So your eyes move, then your head moves, then your body moves. So I'm moving to my right, look to my right, drop my right knee, my left knee, and I'm back around. And then I look to my left, drop my left hip, look to my center, bring my feet center. And then I'm going to go the other direction. Look to my right, knees drop, or to my left rather, and then roll all the way around, bring your feet center, and then to your left or your right, and then center. So this is a nice big rotational movement, but yet still bending those knees, getting into a crawling pattern, and coming back out of it. So always the feet are coming back to the front before you get going again. So again, if it feels like it's getting clogged up, go slower. So again, knees to your right, roll over the shin, walk yourself front, you're in all fours, and let's give ourselves about 4 or 5 knees rocking. And then we're going to bring those legs around. So my legs go, I'm going to drop to my right hip and then swing my legs back around. And then we'll go to the other side. We'll go back from, turn your knees to one side and then come forward. We'll go knees rocking again. And then drop your hips back and bring your legs forward, and we're back in front again. We got one more to each side. So drop your knees, bring yourself forward, knees rocking. You can change the position of your feet, toes curled under. You can see my toes back behind me. You can have your toes curled under. You can have your toes flat. And then again, drop to your right, because we came from our left side. Swing your feet around, and then back over, back in front, and then we'll do that knees rocking again one more time. Good. And then we're going to roll kind of like a ball to get back up. So now you're in that squatted position. That might feel even easier to you than before. I'm going to move my feet just a little bit wider, and I can get my heels to the ground. A great mobility test is, can you stay in a squat for any period of time? Can you stay there for 30 seconds? Can you stay there for a minute? How about 5 minutes? It's a long time to stay in a squat, but can you stay low and not feel like you're going to give in, your quads are going to burn up, and then come back up, and you may already be up, and then you're going to recheck your shoulders, and you're always looking for better, same, or different. And forward fold. That's nice and good. Hamstrings feel great. Head and neck drops down real nice. And let's go back to a cross crawl pattern. So right hand to left knee, left hand to right knee. And then we're going to do a rotation after this. So we're going to get into some rotation, turning around the midline of the body. Now this one you're going to need to go kind of slow on, because standing up doing this variation For some people, the faster they go, for sure, it can kind of make you dizzy because you're rotating. All right, so you're gonna place your hands out in front and I want you to look at your thumbs, okay? Look at your thumbs. Your thumbs are gonna drop to your right. You're gonna lift your left hip up. You're gonna look at your thumbs and then to your left. Look at your thumbs, drop to your right, pick your thumbs up and to your left. So notice my hip, my opposite hip is lifting as I'm turning. I'm letting my head follow my thumbs. Now again, for some, this is a little bit, gotta go slow or you might get dizzy. Now you can do this without looking, or you can do this with looking. So looking might, since you're not gonna have that frame of reference for the horizon, your brain's like, I don't know about this. So you can do it without looking. Or you can do it with looking. And see if you can make the figure 8 even bigger. Keep those eyes leading. It's like a plane around, rolling those shoulders, rolling those hips, dropping in, breathing. And then let's come back to center. We'll reset with just a cross crawl. And then reset again with just some breathing. Tongue against the roof of your mouth, mouth closed. Good. And then again, take those arms up. Breathe. How does that feel to have your arms over your head? That elbow tension that I had, that shoulder tension that I had at the beginning is gone. Arms are down. And again, you can check your forward fold. See if that feels just even better. And your squat. Now, this can seem like it's just a sneaky way to get you to do a bunch of squats. And it is. But at the same time, it's also a great way for you to notice your improvement or things that might even kind of shut you down just a little bit, that are maybe a little bit challenging for your whole body, and so it goes backwards. So if that ever happens, go ahead and you pause and you go back to what really kind of helped. It's usually breathing, some sort of head nod or head turn, and then cross patterning movements like a cross crawl. So we're gonna go on our back now and do some rocking on our back that actually kind of helps too. So you're on your back, lay back. If you need to put a pillow underneath your head because laying on your back is not comfortable for you, maybe dizziness, or you just don't like the weight all the way on your head, or actually your head doesn't hit the ground well. When you lay back, if your chin is way up, that's putting a lot of threat response on your back itself. So I want you to have something, even something small, to elevate your head a little bit and to keep your nose, navel, head, forehead all in a nice line. And then as your body decides to relax and release and give in those positions, put the sandbell, put the pillow, whatever. You just don't want your head up too much if you can help it. You want everything to be up. So if your head is up, your torso should be up, almost like a decline. So if you have something that can decline your body, like maybe a melt roller or a bolster, like a yoga bolster, that'd be nice too. So again, just sitting nice and tall here, bring your knees into your chest. And you're just gonna rock. So you're bringing your knees into your chest and you're releasing. It's a great way, very kind way to just get some movement in the body. So again, bring those knees in. I'm just holding the outside of my knees. I'm not pulling hard. You could take your hands underneath your knees and arms go straight. So again, I'm using my elbows, my shoulders. You can flex your feet as your knees come in, and point your toes as your knees go away. And again, Even though, again, remember, I'm talking, the idea for you guys is that you are going to be doing this breathing with your tongue at the roof of your mouth and your mouth closed, so you're breathing through your diaphragm. So we're going to take that knees rocking to no hands, a little bit more challenging, and just bring those knees in and out. Now I'm not going very far down to the ground, so I'm not trying to get into my lower back, but I am feeling some pull. So I do want you to notice that your body will naturally brace. And then you're going to move your arms and your legs away from each other simultaneously. You can have your palms facing your knees. You can have your palms facing each other. And then let's go into what's called a bird dog. So I'm going to actually leave my left knee up, have my right hand up, and I'm just going to lower my right arm and left knee. So it's a single-sided. So I'm not trying to get too fancy here. Go slow. And the movement of the bird dog, the dead bug, is really a movement about moving from the midline of the body. It's not about your joint at your hip. It's not so much about the joint at your shoulder. It's about creating motion and creating information for the midline of the body. And then let's do the other side. So leave your left leg down, bring your right knee up, bring your left arm over your shoulder. And so both arm and leg move away from center, come back to center. Now I'm just tapping my foot on the ground. You could go to what I call a saw motion, which is your knee extends and straightens. But you just want to keep that knee, though, kind of at the same line the entire time. So see that those knees end up lining up towards each other, and that your foot's not lowering down towards the ground, or you're going to end up putting a lot of work on the lower back. Now, work isn't necessarily wrong or bad. It's just, can you tolerate it at the speed you're going and still breathe? A couple more. And last one. So then we're going to take both knees up at the same time, and we'll do your right arm and left leg, and left arm and right leg. So now we're just alternating the legs. Go slow. Pause if you need to, or you can go a little bit faster, but this isn't really designed to be, or intentionally designed to be, a fast thing to do. Good, go ahead and pause. Bring those knees into the chest. Just give them a little squeeze. Let's put the feet back to the ground. Let the arms drop to the side. And let's just return to that diaphragmatic breath now that you're on your back. If you would like to be sitting up, if you would like to stand up, if you'd like to sit in a different position, you're more than welcome to. You can take your arms overhead if that feels nice to you as well. And just feel yourself breathe way up into the width of your ribs, not necessarily to your belly, but can you feel the rib wall moving away? And if you need to feel it by touching it, do so. And then just pause, and then let's just roll to one side. And we've got our last assessment to do again. Hey, Deborah Collins. We've got our last assessment to do again. And that's just to really kind of lock in how those movements went. So go ahead and bring yourself upright. And we're going to recheck those baseline movements. So again, you can do whatever one you want to do. You can do multiple if you want. So mine were overhead extension. Just feels nice and easy. Forward fold is reaching down towards my toes. And then the last one, was the squat, of course. Oh, that feels great. My arms come up over my head, my chest is tall, and then I can stand back up. And then check and see what your balance is like. Pick that foot up. Mine feels really nice. I could stand here all day. That's it today, guys. Thanks for joining me for the for the mobility session today. And allow yourself to come back and revisit this. Yes, I kept it kind of simple so that your body actually could respond in a simple way, so you could listen. When we do a lot of complicated things, it's real flashy and fun, but it ends up becoming too much so often for our body to actually do. And we get caught up in all the complexity of the whole thing. So remember, breathing is the number one reset of the body. It's going to be with you always. You're going to have it no matter where you go. And then the next one is going to be, you want to do head nods, moving the neck, the eyes, and the head. And head turns. Something that moves all of this area, vestibular motion, getting those neck muscles going, telling the brain and the body that the body's ready to go. And then the third is crossing the midline of the body. Learning how to change right hand to left. And remember, it doesn't have to be to your knees. You can be to your ears. You can be to your nose. And you can learn how to move better in simple type of ways. Have a great day, guys. Repeat this one again. Text me, call me, whatever you'd like to do. I want to be here for you, and I want to help you move better and live better. You have an opportunity every day to move better, and we're done today. Have a great day.